hello, this is Ivana.
And this is Yao.
And you're listening to the podcast Life in Black and White.
And all the shades in between.
We share all things life, relationships, marriage, parenting, race, and much more. If you enjoy listening to us, then please follow or subscribe to this podcast. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook under Life in Black and White. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the next episode of our podcast, Life in Black and White. Today's episode is called Life. We love our kids, but, and if you are a parent, I'm sure you totally relate to this, and you know what we mean by that. Yao is back after 2 weeks. Hello, Yao.
Hey, how's it going?
You haven't been here for 2 weeks, actually 1 month, because now we're releasing an episode once in 2 weeks. So I'm glad you're back, because some people might think you're trying to escape and easing into it.
Absolutely not. Where else rather than here, right?
I know, right? So
Yeah.
let's dive in. Let's dive in to today's episode right away. So, as we mentioned before, and as you might know already, we have two lovely twin boys, Henry and Mason, who you could hear last week in the last episode, if you listen to it. If not, I strongly suggest you do now, because it's interesting, I should say the least. And it's hilarious at the same time. And we also have baby Yao, who is almost 2 years. He's going to be 2 in a month, or less than that, actually, in 3 weeks. So yeah, it's full on, as you can imagine, with 3 boys and a husband, or should I say, and a wife.
Thank you. Exactly. I'm sure it's all it's all roses and stuff, isn't it?
Sunshine and rainbows. Yeah. We talked with Yao just the other day now about how different it is before you become a parent. And you think, oh, you're going to be such a great mom, and let's make kids. It's going to be amazing to have a family. And then, where did that go, Angel? That dream?
Yeah, I think everybody goes through that, right? I think it's always that instance of the grass is greener. And please don't get this mixed up when we're actually kind of going through this. You know, there's nothing we wouldn't do for our kids. We absolutely love our kids to bits. But everybody who's a parent goes through, there's loads of things that we all kind of go through. And there are times when you're just like, you want to pull your hair out and you're like, you're going a little bit crazy and things. But you wouldn't change it for the world, right?
Exactly. That's the funny bit. That's the most amazing bit.
How many of us have had that thing with, maybe parents or people who've looked after us growing up and things, and they've turned around and they've said to us something along the lines of, you wait till you have kids, or you wait till
now
you're
it makes
looking
sense.
after kids.
Yeah.
It's like the universe is kind of karma, isn't it?
Yeah,
you turn
absolutely.
around, you don't understand what I'm going through, you don't know you don't get it, and you're like, yeah, I could do your job so easily. And then you're like, uh-oh. You realize, right?
I don't know who it was. She once said that I was a perfect mom until I had kids, and this is what sums it up so perfectly. We all think, oh, I'm going to be such a great mom. I'm not going to do that. Oh my God, how can they do? And I used to not judge, but it is judging. Not in a negative way, but I used to be like, oh, I would never do it. How can they do it? Other parents, and now I do exactly the same things. So it's just, until you have kids, you have no idea. And it's not a bad thing, but I used to think that I knew what it was to be a parent before I became one, and you have no idea. So if you don't have kids, trust me, you have no idea. And this is not a bad thing, because we can't know what it's like to have something we don't have. It's like, I know people with a dog, but it doesn't mean I know what it's like to have a dog. So, and it's not all a bed of roses. But at the same time, at the same time, it's, you can't imagine any other way. That's what makes it
Yeah.
so special.
This thing around when you're, say, for example, sometimes, you and the boys can be away for a couple of weeks or a few weeks and stuff,
In
just
Slovakia,
for
just to make it clear, we're not
yeah,
just
yeah,
escaping.
no,
Actually, we
yeah,
are,
if you're,
but we have a good
yeah,
reason.
and there's this thing around those first couple of days, and you're like, oh, just some peace, no madness going on, no kids going crazy, dad, mum, this, that, 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 that. And then that peace, all of a sudden, it becomes like the peace becomes definite because all of a sudden you're like, where is all the madness? Where
Yeah,
is,
I know,
you
and you
know,
miss it.
yeah, and that's the real strange thing, isn't it? Well, it is strange and it's not because obviously, you get used to your kids and not just used to them. The things that they do, they can be like so spontaneous, but certain things they do, they could absolutely crack you up. You could be laughing it off at certain things. Um, Sometimes you're repeating yourselves. Have you done this? Have you done that? Why
But
did
the
you do
part of you
this?
needs it, I think. A part of you
Yeah,
needs it, and it's addicted to it even. That's
maybe,
that's the thing.
maybe.
But this is mostly why we're doing this episode, is mostly to show other parents that you're not alone, and that
Yeah,
if you hate being a parent, you love your kids, but you hate being a parent, you are normal. Like,
yeah,
you wouldn't be if you loved it all the time. It's not
yeah,
possible. It's just not possible. But then you have moments like they shock you in the nicest possible way. And you're like,
yeah.
whoa, yeah. They said something like, oh my God. Like Henry today, what did he say? When we were
Oh,
learning Slovak. We had like a Slovak school. I'm the teacher, yeah. And then Mason was upset because he didn't do something Henry did. And Henry said, what after?
yeah. And so, and this is a big thing about sometimes their development and how they're starting to pick things up, right? So yeah, Mason basically he was a bit upset. He wasn't getting something that obviously, like, sorry, I don't mean to repeat what you just said there. But
But you
he
are,
wasn't
but they're
getting,
gone.
yeah, but I am, yeah. But then he turned around and said, "It's okay, Mason. You know things that sometimes I don't know, and I know things sometimes that you don't know, and that's what makes us all unique." And I was
Yeah.
like,
Wow.
"That's it's such a kind of I know," and it sounds like we're just kind of obviously putting this in for this podcast, but he actually literally just said that, and that
Yeah.
it's moments and stuff like that, and you just think to yourself, and we're not talking about our children, it's across the board, right? Your kids
Yeah, of
will
course.
naturally just do something or say something, or, if you maybe upset or something like that, they might give you a hug where you don't see it, randomly, and like ask, "Are you okay?" And it's those moments are there that kind of absolutely overtakes all the,
Yeah.
oh, I asked you to put the jumper on, but why didn't you ask me to put the jumper on, Daddy? I
My
did.
hand
I
is too
asked you
soft.
about 10.
My hand is too soft. No, the best excuses from our kids is my toes hurt. No, I said, oh, I can't do it. My toes hurt. Or
My
my hand is too soft.
earlier on, he he didn't want to do some writing, so he jumped on the sofa and he said, "Oh, I think I've broken my hand and things." I said, "Well, then you probably can't use the phone a little bit and stuff." "No, it's fine now. It's okay. It's all right." And, and it's just random things and stuff that they turn around and say, you know, you love
Mm.
them, they can annoy you, but deep down, they're amazing beings, aren't they?
It's amazing to witness that, know how they develop
Mm,
and how they
yeah,
becoming their own person.
yeah,
But I just remember the funny story, from when they were, I think, reception.
yeah.
Remember, they came home with the drawings.
Oh,
This is no, Henry was it. Like, this is our family, like a bunch of drawings, yeah. And he went through them, explaining what they were. And He said, "This is our family. This is mommy and daddy. This is daddy and Henry, and this is daddy falling off the aeroplane."
And he said, without a parachute. He actually said, without a parachute. And I think he was annoyed earlier on in that day because I turned around and I said to him something along the lines, you couldn't have something. And, you know, Henry's very,
That was his,
yeah.
He's trying to get his message across.
Yeah. So he'd obviously gone to school. He was annoyed, drew all of us because he had to draw all of us. But obviously, daddy didn't have his parachute. Okay, it was like he's jumping out of the plane. But it's these little things and stuff that they obviously pick up. He had a moment, he comes back, and then later on he can do something completely different. Oh, I really love you, and you're like, oh, you know, it's up and down. It really is.
It's like when they first said, "I hate you," but they were 4. I was in pieces. I remember, like, oh my God. And then now when they say, like, yeah, okay. It's like, okay, what else is new? Yeah. It's just good because you know they don't mean it. You learn they don't mean it. Sometimes we forget how we were as kids. So what we said to our parents or did.
And you think to yourself, exactly when you like my mum had 5 kids, including me, and I couldn't imagine having to kind of you know manage having 5 kids. It's crazy. It's just
and you appreciate it now, no more than ever. Now that you're a dad.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's not easy. It's not easy if you have one. You know, it's not easy. The resilience and how you are comes with what you kind of have to experience and kind of go through and know what you have to kind of go through and you just have to do and things, right? But it's amazing what our parents and stuff had to go through and did for us and things.
It's not fair. We should appreciate it at that age, so there is no, fights, arguments, misunderstandings. Sometimes it's too late when you understand that. When you, for instance, your parents are not around anymore, so you can't even tell them, So,
but again,
anyway, Sorry.
No, I was gonna say, like you said, as parents, we know when we say things like, "Oh, I hate you," or "I don't like you," "You don't understand me." You know, us as parents, we kind of resilience and we understand that that's not what they're doing. They're just acting out for that particular moment. So yeah, that's a circle of life, isn't it? One generation doesn't know what the older every generation believes that the older generation doesn't know what they've been through.
A lot of people don't believe it, but in our family, Yao is the bad cop and I'm the good one. I mean, not that people don't believe I'm a good cop, but they don't believe that you're the bad one, the strict one. But it is true, and I'm glad for it because we need that balance.
We switch. Okay, maybe I could be a bit more bad cop and stuff, but I don't know whether it's a cultural thing from my end. I've obviously had nephews and nieces and stuff going. I've had a lot of bits and bobs and stuff with kids and stuff since I was young because I'm a lot younger than my lot. So quite a lot of the time,
you're the youngest.
Yeah, I'm the youngest of my lot, but I had that interaction and stuff with my nieces and nephews and so forth. So when maybe Henry or Mason, they're acting up and they play into certain heartstrings, I just remember. I do, because I probably did the same thing. I get it, but I also remember and stuff that my mum or dad weren't letting me kind of get away with anything and stuff.
Do you want to share the story with the football when you went? That's hilarious.
So there's one episode. There was one time when me and a mate of mine, we must have gone out about, I don't know, 3, 4. I think it was about 4 o'clock. I must have been about 11, going on 12, something like that. And normally, what we do, football was our lives. We loved football. You know, we could wake up, go football, come back, have breakfast, go back out, play football, come back, have some food, go back out, play football, and then, you know, before, mum, can I go out just to play football just for like another half an hour, that type of thing. So football was just our lives. And I don't know. This is the thinking, isn't it? When you're young, you don't really appreciate that there's somebody there really kind of waiting for you. So we went out, and for some reason, there was a mass group of us all just kind of descended in this park that wasn't too far from us. It's only about 5-10 minute walk from where we are. And we went out, and there was a load of us, and we was having such a great time. We were playing, and I'm not joking. I think we played from about 4 till about 8 o'clock, and it was late. It was still fairly bright, but it was late, and we knew. But we thought, you know what? Uh, we're a little bit late. We're probably going to get into a little bit of trouble, but we'll be okay. We'll be fine, right? So then, next thing you know, we're still playing, um, and it's just before 10 o'clock, and you know it's dark. You know, there's floodlights and everything. What we did do though, we moved from the park and stuff where we were. So where there's like some floodlights a little bit further down. This is like near Lake Lorient's grounds and stuff. And what had happened is, I think my mum had come down to the park where I was before, didn't see us there, kind of came back thinking, okay, I'm going to come back and stuff. But we were like a little bit further down, so she didn't know about these other floodlit bits where we were going to be. So we're playing, and we know we're late now, and we know we're in trouble. And so what do? Oh, it's too late now. We're going to be in so much trouble now. We're going to get shouted out. We're probably going to get grounded or something along those lines. And so we decided, let's just keep going. And then we got to the point where we're just like, we are in so much trouble. We can't go back and stuff now. What we'll do, let's just wait a little bit longer. And when they go to sleep, we can kind of sneak back in. And then hopefully, by the time they get up and things, this is the mindset and stuff. We can sneak back in. And then what will happen is, you know, they'll just think we were really late, but don't realize because they'd probably fallen asleep. So me and like one of my best mates, there was like a scrapyard type thing. We went over this scrapyard and we were just looking at things and you know nothing. We were just checking out cars and bits and bobs. Oh my god! So it's about midnight and stuff now. I remember because my friend basically lived on the opposite side of the road and stuff to me. We got to the top of our road and everything's dark except everything's dark except for two houses, his and mine, with all the lights on. Upstairs lights on, downstairs lights on. He saw mine, I saw his, and we were like, our plan really didn't work out.
Shock horror.
Right? So we're like, as we were kind of we got kind of get to his before we kind of get to mine. And he was like, we're going to obviously have to say goodbye because we're not going to see each other for a little while and things, I don't think. But then I go in, my door is just, the front of my door is open. I walk in and my mum, like, she's a strong person and so she could shout when she wanted to. And I was expecting my mum to just go off at me and just go, rah, rah, rah. And instead, she didn't say anything. She just went, your dad's upstairs. Go and see your dad. But that scared me more. The fact that she didn't like go crazy, like shout at me, "What are you doing?" and blah blah blah. And then I went upstairs. My dad had a go at me, and I was like, "Rah!" I remember kind of coming back downstairs and stuff, and I was crying my eyes out. And I'm like, I'm really sorry, and all this and things like to my mum and things. And yeah, it was, you know, it's funny the logic and stuff that we have as adults, as our, parents and stuff. You would never think. You just think that first time that you realize you're in trouble, this take and go back. But as kids, the logic behind it was like it made so much sense and stuff at the time. But yeah, it was definitely a moment to remember. I look back with it in fondness because obviously, like you said, my mum and dad are not with us and stuff anymore. But again, it's another thing about the love and stuff that we have and stuff for our children. And the instances where you have to kind of turn around and tell them off, and thinking that, oh, is that going to traumatize? No, it's not going to traumatize.
Other things will traumatize them. Not telling them off,
Yeah, not being harsh, not harsh, but not being able to kind of discipline them to that extent and stuff. Probably does a little bit more harm than just leaving them.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It's very important to remember that we were kids once, and how maybe when it gets too much, then maybe we can ask ourselves like, what would we have done at that age in this situation? Yes, to take the edge off a little bit, because sometimes we forget they're still kids. But even like you were 11 then, and like
I did that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Yeah, and don't get it mixed up, because none of us are perfect, and sometimes we might have a lot kind of going on. If you're a bit shouty or thing as a result of it, it's not perfect, but we're just as human as they are.
Exactly. Yeah.
We make mistakes. I don't have a problem and stuff and turning around and saying to Henry or Mason, I made a mistake, and saying sorry and things, because again, that's also something that they need to see, and it's something they need to experience, that that can make
exactly.
But,
but yeah, they are a good laugh. They are a good laugh. It is it outweighs all the madness. Sometimes, Jack.
Exactly. Random.
It's like when you went to London. Remember, you went to London for a week, and Henry was crying his eyes out in the car, and they said, "Why are you crying? It's just Daddy."
Exactly.
So much love, no?
Yeah, but then
like, oh, what's so special about Daddy? He said.
Yeah, exactly. Daddy. But then another time, I could be just going somewhere for a couple of hours,
and then he
really
is
they're really upset and stuff that I'm going, or vice versa and things, and it's just
exactly.
Yeah, kids will be kids. We love them, but exactly.
Yeah, we love them. But then it's also nice how to experience the pureness, like how they see the world, logically. Sometimes how we don't see anymore, or or through their eyes. It's magical, because for them magic is real, and it is real, of course. I'm not saying it's not, but they remind us of that. Sometimes they can have a little dark humor, but without realizing. That's the thing.
It's like watching episodes of The Simpsons, and when you watched it when you were really young, or I don't know, whatever, and you watch it and you're like, face value, you find it funny. But then there's the darker undertones that maybe the adult kind of gets, and you're like,
exactly. But sometimes we don't realize that they say things through their own experience. Like sometimes they say something, and if an adult had said that would have been horrible. But they don't mean it the same way, and we often forget, us as parents, that they don't mean things, that they don't see the world like us. They don't have the filtered experiences yet. It's like when Mason said that when we were passing the beach once, and he said, "I'm hoping, baby, I will fall to the bottom of the sea." And it's an awful thing to say, but then I remember that, and I said, wait a minute, let's ask him why first before I go crazy.
Yeah.
So I asked him, why do you want Baby O at the bottom of the sea? And he said, like, because he can meet the unicorns then, yeah. And that was a huge reminder. Okay, like, like if I hadn't asked, and how many times we judged them for something they didn't maybe even mean. I'm not saying all the time, but sometimes it's just nice to remember we were kids once, and they don't have the same thinking as we do. That makes sense.
Makes sense.
Okay, I think we can wrap it up here.
Okay.
So if you're a parent, remember you are not alone. it's pure madness for all of us.
You're doing the best that you can.
Yeah.
Don't. Yeah.
That's all you can do. Yeah.
Don't beat
It's like,
yourself up so much.
Yeah. And if you want to go to bed every day at 9 or 8, that's absolutely fine as well.
You're tired.
Like yesterday, we were like two zombies here now in the evening. Yeah. Okay, see you tomorrow. So, it's just a phase. It's just a phase, and it will pass. And I know we're gonna miss this one day. At least I will, Daddy.
Yeah, I'm over it. I'm fine.
No, can you imagine they leave one day? We'll be all alone. What are we gonna do?
Well, we'll still have this podcast, right?
And then we can release new episode twice a day, right?
Oh, they're not leaving now. Christ, can you imagine that? Okay.
I love you, Bart. Yeah, that can be the next episode. I love you, Bart.
I think we've
not the kids. I just love I love my wife, Bart.
I love my husband, but right?
Yeah. I think lots of people could resonate.
Exactly.
Okay. So thank you so much for listening, and see you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Take care. All the best. Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean the world if you could leave us a review and give us a follow. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook under Life in Black and White.